All right, so if you're an ADHD baddie, I'm willing to bet that you've probably tried every single productivity system in the game. Lord knows I have. Probably more than once. But that's also why I think I am uniquely qualified to rank every single system based on their effectiveness for the ADHD brain specifically. Why don't we find out? Okay, so quick note before we get started. Here I just have these 13 systems. I picked systems, not like tips. So you're not gonna see like eat the frog or anything like that. Let's start with bound planner. You know, bound planners to me are some of the most tempting. Every year, I swear every year, some like journaling or productivity girly comes out with a new planner, and I'm convinced for a brief moment that that's the one that's going to change my life, but they just never work. I think the fact that, you know, everything's already pre-decided for you, you kind of have to make your life fit into the planner, sucks in and of itself. And then when you think about the fact that you can't rearrange the pages. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and assume this is at the bottom of my list. I'm going to put it in the D tier. Okay, next, winging it. This obviously isn't like a legitimate system, but I just thought, you know, a lot of ADHDers do this. You know, there's a part of me that says put it in the bottom for obvious reasons, but there's also another part of me that's like, you know what people who are winging it are not doing? They're not overthinking and over planning. So on the downside, like things are probably slipping through the cracks, but on the upside, you're not wasting a lot of time just like planning. You know what I mean? I used to be the kind of person that had a plan to make a plan. So I'm gonna put this in C for now. I'm also giving myself license to rearrange these as time goes on if I want to. Okay, the classic calendar. Also, do you like how I like made these little icons? I tried to make them fit the system that they are, if you can tell. This one is classic calendar. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know a lot of people that do the classic calendar anymore. My mom does, and it's very effective for her. Yeah, she just like writes birthdays and doctor's appointments on there and like everything's fine. But see, my mom does not have ADHD. I think that works for anyone who will reliably check up on their stuff and like takes a minute to like peek ahead. I feel like this would never work for me, but I also really dig the simplicity of it. So I'm going to say B for now. Okay. Ring/disc planner, kind of similar to the bound planner. I do think that, again, when the pages are like pre-made for you, you have to make your life fit into the page. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes an ADHD person will benefit from that kind of structure. But I think most of the time, at least I know I tend to feel very limited by like those pre-made pages. However, the fact that they're in like ring or disc form and you can shuffle them around or even like replace them, I think it's good. The only downside is like it's a question of if I'm gonna check it or not. But I guess that's true of every like analog planning system. Pretty good. I think I'm gonna put this in A. I did not do this on purpose, by the way. I separated them out, just trying to like randomize the colors. This is especially funny because TX3, aka the time flex tier technique, is up next. If you know, you know. You probably do if you're subscribed to my channel. Do I want to put TX3 in God tier? I think I do. And I feel like I shouldn't have to explain myself for that. But it also feels like I rigged that. And it's ironic because I literally just did a video like a week ago talking about why I'm not using it right now. But I also think that I'm just in a very rare place in my life, right? Like, I still think it's a great system. I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to keep it in the S tier. Okay, next, digital planner. Okay. Like I said, I've tried all these. I've even made a digital planner. I like them, but I found myself like, I don't know. It's not the bottom of the bottom for me, but I think I'm going to go C tier because here's the thing. It's like you have the restrictions of a bound planner, but then you don't get the joyful like tacticalness. It's not tactical. You know what I'm saying? Like tactile. That's the word I'm looking for. You don't get to, you know, because at least the thing with like paper planners is like, you know, there's something about flipping through them that's like crack, you know? So, okay. Next, GTD. I'm pretty sure David Allen is called like the godfather of productivity or something. But here's the thing about GTD. I think it works well. I know a lot of people, well, not personally, but I've heard of tons of people that swear by it. I think it's just too complicated. You know, like I agree with his methods of like capture everything. Like if something has a date, put it in a calendar and like lock it in. Like, but when you think about how it's like he wants you to have like a tickler file, which like, dude, it's like not 1970 anymore. And he's adamant that like you can only use calendars for appointments. Like, hello, that's like the antithesis to time blocking, right? Which is somewhere up next. There we go. So for me, the real shine of ADHD, the real shine of GTD is just making sure you capture every thought to like keep your brain clear and making sure that you like keep up with stuff so that you trust your system. That's like the real takeaway from GTD. The actual method itself, I'm not a huge fan of. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it in B tier. Okay, bullet journaling. Let me tell you, I was a bullet journal bitch for years. And I can't tell you how much money I've spent on like pens and washi tapes and different notebooks. And I know some people swear by this, but I do think that for your average ADHDer, I don't think it's actually very good. I think I'm gonna put it, I was about to put it in D, but it's better than Bound Planner in my opinion because it's more flexible. That flexibility is great, but the way you have to keep up with it, like, I agree that there's a way to be too hands-off with a productivity system that it stops even, like, mattering to you. But it's just too hands-on. I even if you don't make the spreads super fancy, it's too much work up front. And I think once that, like, shiny feeling of having a fresh notebook and having new pens and having new washi tapes, like, wears off, yeah, it's just not that good. I'm gonna give it a C. Okay, time blocking. Traditional time blocking. This one's hard because I know this is so effective for so many people, but am I thinking of ADHD people or am I thinking of like neurotypicals? I'm going to give time blocking I'm going to put it in the B tier because I think it's better than these systems. You know, I obviously don't think it's God tier like TX3 because there's no built-in prioritization and I feel like it's just too rigid, at least their traditional method is. Or do I want to put it in A? I'm going to leave it in B for now, and we'll see if I change my mind. Okay, the classic to-do list. The classic to-do list. You know, the hard thing about this is I think it really depends on the person. Like, how complicated is your job? How complicated is your life? Do you have kids? Like, are you managing an entire family or are you just managing yourself? I think obviously the classic to-do list, like the simplicity is beautiful and it works really well for someone if their brain is not chaotic where they feel the need to have everything in one place. But then again, am I thinking through a neurotypical lens? Because the problem with the classic to-do list is they can get really long and then an ADHDer who doesn't usually do well with prioritization could really struggle to be like, oh my God, like what do I pick from here, you know? I'm gonna move classic to-do list into B, and I think I'm actually going to move traditional time blocking to A because at least with traditional time blocking you have like the when of it all built in, you know? Okay, sticky notes. I put an asterisk here because I'm like, is there anyone who like truly just uses sticky notes? I'm assuming that if you use sticky notes as your system, you also will like write on the back of a napkin or like write on the back of an envelope or like use like physical reminders. Like if you need to get milk, you'll like put the milk on the counter or, you know, the milk carton on the counter. I'm going to put this in D tier. Actually, maybe I'm going to put it in C tier. No, I'm going to put it in D tier because I think that it would be hard to keep track of all those things. And the reason you're using sticky notes, I'm assuming, is you don't have like a consolidated notebook, right? What happens if you lose something? What happens if you leave it in your pocket and it gets washed? What happens if it just drops or it gets lost in your notebook or, you know? And there was a time where I've used the sticky notes method and they always, I'm pretty sure they all found their way back to my desk, but then you're sitting there with like a million things and you like don't know what to do with them. You feel like you have to rewrite them onto a single list, like time suck. Okay, is this Kanban or Kanban board? I don't know. This I've not used like out in the world, in the real world. I know there are people and teams that do that, but I have used them digitally like in Notion and I think they're okay. I think they're great for like a very specific kind of thing. Like I know that it's like, wasn't it invented by like software developers or something? I don't know the details about that. But I just feel like for managing your whole life, doing it from like a literal physical board seems hard. And then also I feel like it only matters if you have something that has like multiple steps. Like I'll tell you the time that I used it for myself was when a YouTube video was going across and it was like research, script, film, edit, make thumbnail, you know what I mean? And there was all these different steps and they were the same. For regular things in life, it feels like it would just be like to do, in progress, done. And I don't know, it doesn't seem that exciting to me. I'm gonna give it D. No, I'm gonna put it in C only because I know that it's very useful for specific things. But actually, I'm talking life maintenance. No, I'm moving it back down to D. Okay, last one, Notion. Now, I know Notion isn't a system in and of itself. It's like a software, but like the systems people build in Notion, including one that I've built in Notion that I talked about before, the TOP method. Maybe I should have made that its own card. Whatever. I'm sorry. Notion is going in God tier. And I'm not saying it's without its downsides. Like I know that you can get really sucked into it. You can make it too complicated and become more obsessed with the upkeep of it. Like I know that it's dangerous. But the thing is that like once you trial and error and finally get it right, I think you get it right and that can last you a really long time. And then when your life does change and you're like, okay, for whatever reason this isn't really working anymore, like you can take away things or add things. Like I think it's beautiful. I love it so much. And no, this isn't sponsored by Notion, but you know, Notion guys, call me. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let me recheck the ranking. TX3 and Notion and God tier, of course. I'm actually gonna move Classic Calendar to C because like, you know, winging it, C, digital planner, bullet journaling. I'm going to put bullet journaling at like the middle of the road because I think it could really go either way. And then at the bottom, bound planners, unfortunately, sticky notes, and Kanban boards. Okay. All right. Well, that is my final ranking. If you disagree, argue at the wall. No, I'm kidding. Let me know what you think in the comments. You know, the big takeaway from this is it's all so deeply personal, I guess. Watch me redo this video in 6 months and like have a completely different ranking.